What's up, everybody? Carolina Jackpot coming at you. It's Sunday evening, December 30th, 2018, and it's time for picks and predictions against the spread for tomorrow. December 31st, 2018 is our slate for Monday. We have 6 college football bowl games on the docket, and I'm going to talk about each one of them real quick. I'm going to try to run through these in record speed. I didn't do a lot of research on these games. I right around 56% this year so far with my picks, getting them all tallied up. Last couple of days with those picks that I did the other day, which encompassed, I think it was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday's games, went 7-6 against the spread. So you had to take the Boise State game out of there. But did pretty well, I guess. I would like to have done a little bit better. I'd like to get closer to the 70% mark, but that's always hard to do when you're picking games against the spread. It takes a special talent, a lot of luck to be able to do that. And a lot of times I will really research games, and sometimes I will just not research them at all and see which style comes out better, and they both kind of hit somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to run through these real quick, and let's see how many I get correct. Tomorrow, we got the Liberty Bowl starting it off, Missouri taking on Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is a 9-point underdog against the Missouri Tigers in Memphis. 74 the total on this game. I think 9 points is a lot here. I think both these offenses are going to light it up, obviously, from the total on that. Drew Lock for Missouri has had a really good year. But Taylor Cornelius, Oklahoma State, had a good year as well. They kind of fell apart down the stretch, but had he not done that, they would have been a ranked team coming into the postseason this year. I'm going to take Oklahoma State to cover the spread in this game. I just think that this is going to be a shootout. I think Missouri is probably the better team. They come in at 8-4, and once again, Missouri does just enough to get themselves in a decent position at the end of the year. They just plod along, under the radar every year, and they always just sneak up on people when you least expect it. They kind of struggled this year against some teams like Alabama and who else am I thinking of here? Purdue, that like to throw the ball around a lot. Oklahoma State likes to throw the ball around a lot. Look for a lot of points in this one. Oklahoma State to cover, but I think Missouri will probably get the win. Cincinnati versus Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, 6.5-point underdog in the Military Bowl. These two teams actually played in the Military Bowl back at the end of the 2014 season. Again, Virginia Tech comes in 6-6. They had to get a win against Marshall in the extra game to just be bowl eligible. They also knocked off their rivals Virginia the week before that, something my Gamecocks yesterday were not able to do. Cincinnati comes in at 10-2. This is a really good team for much of the year. They were undefeated, and just going ahead here, I'm looking for Cincinnati to cover the spread in this one. I think they win this game big. This is a really talented team. Luke Fickell's the coach there. He's doing a great job. Great young coach. Hint, that somebody might be looking at really soon. I don't know who, but hint. Hopefully it's somebody close to home. Anyway, Virginia Tech, really inconsistent this year, up and down. They lost to Old Dominion, or got blown out at home by Georgia Tech. They do beat their rivals, Virginia, Commonwealth Cup, keep there for the 5,000th year in a row. But I'm looking for Cincinnati to take the win in this particular game. Stanford versus Pitt in the Sun Bowl. Stanford are laying 4.5 in the Sun Bowl. They've been in this game before. Really disappointing season for Stanford. They finish up at 8-4. Pitt comes in at 7-6. Of course, they were the Coastal Division representatives from the ACC in the ACC Championship game against Clemson. They absolutely got annihilated in Charlotte, which was formerly known as the Gamecocks home away from home until yesterday. If you didn't hear me talk about it, they lost to Virginia yesterday. We're going to talk about that some more later on in another video. Looking at this one, I think Stanford is probably out. One of the things that did happen this year, Bryce Love was injured much of the year, and much of the year that he did play, he underperformed. Well, that kind of forced Stanford to develop a passing game, and KJ Costello did that. Got J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He's a big target. I believe this is his last year at Stanford. He's an upstate South Carolina product from Dorman High School over in Spartanburg. I'm going to look for them to cover the spread here against Pittsburgh. I think Stanford is obviously just a more talented team here, and they will chip away. I think this game may be close early on, but look for Stanford to take the win there. Michigan State versus Oregon. Oregon laying 2.5 in the Red Box Bowl. This game is actually in Santa Clara, California, at the home of the national championship game from next week. This game has been called like a million different things. It's been called, I think, the San Francisco Bowl, the Emerald Nuts Bowl, the San Francisco Giants Bowl. It's been called the 49ers Bowl. It's been called the Zodiac Killer Bowl. It's been called everything. I'm just kidding about the rest of those. It has been called out in several different things. So I am going to take Oregon, cover the spread here against Michigan State. Long trip for Michigan State. Disappointing season for them, too. That was one of the teams that was expected to contend with Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State up there in that Big Ten East. And they should do it. Some disappointing losses this year for them, and I expect Oregon, Justin Herbert, coming out there. He's already said he's coming back to Oregon again next year to play, so I look for them to cover the spread here. I think they're going to take care of business against Michigan State in the Movie Bowl. Northwestern versus Utah. 45 the total in this game. Utah laying 7 in the Holiday Bowl. Let's go on ahead and take Northwestern to cover here. Now, Utah is a team that played pretty well considering against Washington in the Pac-12 championship game. They did not lose that game by a significant margin. Their starting quarterback, Tyler Huntley, and their best running back on the team, Zach Moss, were both out of that game injured. I don't know if either of those guys are going to be involved in this one, but when you're looking at an over-under that's as low as 45, and you're talking about a team like Northwestern who plays as many close games as they have. Now, albeit the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State was not close, and that was only because Ohio State was just more talented, and they flexed every dang bit of muscle they could in that game against Northwestern to try to make a volley hope of jumping into the college football playoff, which obviously we know didn't happen. But obviously, looking at the first game yesterday, either Ohio State or Georgia would have been a more willing participant and a better entry than Notre Dame, in my opinion. They were just terrible. But hindsight's 20/20. College Football Playoff Committee did what they thought was right there. With an over-under that low, knowing that Northwestern likes to play in close games, and knowing Utah has played some games where they're defensive, but they don't score a lot in them, I'm going to take Northwestern here to cover the spread on that one. NC State versus Texas A&M, the Tax Slayer Bowl in Jacksonville. Texas A&M laying 7 in this one. Formerly it's known as the Gator Bowl. 56 the total in this game. I would bet over that 56. I think these two teams are going to light it up. NC State has been known to give up a lot of points this year. That world-class defense they had last year is all gone. But Texas A&M will give up some points too. In the end, I think a little bit of superior athleticism is going to take over. Texas A&M wins this game. Kelvin Harmon sitting this one out for NC State. Another, something I'm going to talk about in another video here in just a bit. That just irks the heck out of me. Sitting out. And we're going to talk about that some as well. I'm going to take Texas A&M to cover the spread here, barely. I don't feel confident about it, though. If you watch that LSU Texas A&M game at the end of the year, that was a wild affair. Anything could happen with these guys. I don't know. But if I were looking at ones here that I would call my lock, stock, and two smoking barrel, I would either lean towards Cincinnati over Virginia Tech or Northwestern and Utah. Northwestern to cover that spread. I don't think that Utah is that much better than Northwestern, and in fact, it would not surprise me to see the Wildcats take the victory there for Coach Pat Fitzgerald. All right, guys, that's my picks and predictions for New Year's Eve in the college football landscape. Stay tuned for more videos. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night. We'll be doing a pick and prediction against the spread for the games of January 1st. I'll see y'all later. Peace. And I'm out. Go Gamecocks.